Support for 100 Watts and a Wire is brought to you by 100wattsandawire.com. To subscribe to the show, simply click the RSS feed found under each episode. While you're there, apply for your free 100 Watts ID and learn how you can help make 100 Watts and a Wire listener supported. Click the donate page and pick the option that works best for you. That's 100wattsandawire.com. And ICOM. Communication has never been so fun than with ICOM. From D-Star to SDR, ICOM uses the most advanced technology in their radios. And Hamsphere 4.0. Hamsphere is a state-of-the-art computer-based transceiver that uses the internet to layer real-time, real-simulated propagation sky airwaves. To learn more about the new generation of virtualized professional radio, visit hamsphere.com.
And now, from Grid Square Echo Mike 48, this is 100 Watts and a Wire.
Show enough. Well, hello to you and welcome to this edition of 100 Watts and a Wire. I'm Christian Kilo Zero. Shake the house. That's Sierra Tango Hotel. And the big story here from America's heartland, at least my slice of it, snow. Well, I mean, that's one story. We have seen steady days of rain. I'm going to say 7 days of rain, 1 day of sun. Ooh, cold. April 1st. The Passover and Easter weekend presented some challenges coming into Saturday night, and Sunday with just cold and wind. And then by 4 o'clock Central Time, here comes the snow. Snow. Now, don't get me wrong, it's nothing like they're going to see in Wyoming and Montana this week, or anything like the nor'easters on the East Coast. However, this is what I say, you can't trust March, and now it looks like we've gotten into April a little bit, and we have a dusting of snow on the ground. 26 degrees. I'm not complaining. As they say on, 75-meter phone, I woke up on the right side of the grass, and, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? I should tell you, though, I need to confess to the broader audience. I did make a confession yesterday on the YouTube channel. We have a YouTube channel now. It's a slow grow, and as you know, I'm a gardener, so I'm okay with that. The show is not going to live on the YouTube channel, but the YouTube channel will be video extras. Yesterday, I was taking out the garbage, decided to go visit the hex beam as frozen rain was coming down, and I made a confession because it is Easter time, and this gets me every year. And I just feel horrible about it. I've got a... how do I say this? I've got a jelly bean addiction. A jelly bean addiction. There, I said it. Yes, because before the big gathering at the home, I had a peanut butter and jelly bean sandwich. Oh, and yeah. I don't even know what is in a jelly bean, but I would eat a whole trough full of jelly beans. And I just get to feeling bad about it. I will pass by chocolate. Chocolate, white chocolate, dark chocolate, bunnies all over the place. Just for the jelly beans. Knock the Easter Bunny down. I would knock the Easter Bunny out and take the jelly beans. Oh, I said too much. I broke a sweat talking about that. I'm going to have to take a layer off, ladies. Just control yourself. Okay, we're going to have to do... I had to dress for 26 today. All right. let's move on because I did do a little bit outside. You have any jelly beans? I didn't even bring any. It's like that. Didn't even bring them, man. And you know what? Today they'll be on sale. It's all problematic. So what have we done since we last gathered here on the show? I got the old Drake, the TR7, back on the air. And let me tell you, human error. The TR7 is a pretty straightforward radio compared to those manufactured today. And there's only so many buttons you can push on this thing. And I just could not get this thing to transmit. And I'm thinking, oh, please, Lord, let it be the D104. Let something happen here. I changed the battery out of it. It just wouldn't do it. And, I mean, weeks and weeks have gone by, and I don't think about it because, you know, I've got another radio in line, and it's kind of the first in the line. The TR7 is my baby, but she is my 100-watt rig. She started as a 100-watt rig. We worked all states, DXCC, of which I have not received any paper. Maybe it's because I said I don't chase paper, that my paper never comes. But in my log, 100 watts, DXCC, and worked all states. From the Drake TR7, and it was my first radio, and I love it. She drifts a lot. I need to, keep it on for 45 minutes to kind of lock it in. She'll drift a little bit within the frequency, which is interesting. In other words, you can dial, 3947 or whatever you're going to put on. And within those numbers, there's a little... And it could, mean you turn into Mickey Mouse. But once the drifting stops, she's very solid. She's probably 85% solid. And the drifting is nothing. She has a problem where she'll jump frequency sometimes, and I need to get in there and reseat a couple of things, but it's not like I can get in there and work on the girl. It's really tight. Like the newer cars, the newer vehicles, they're not like the old ones. Meaning you could get your body up in that truck and work on it if you needed to in the old days. Now it's like, whew, where am I going to run this cable to get my car installed, my mobile radio installed, right? Anywho, getting back to the human error, you see how I went way around the bush not to talk about my own faults and shortcomings. Well, Mr. Drake created the TR7, and he also had some accessories that went with it. One is a VFO. There's a watt meter. There's an L7 amplifier that I dream about. Every once in a while, maybe once a year, I dream about a complete Drake TR7 as it was meant to be. Microphone and all. I don't have the microphone for that. You don't see them very much. The L7s come along, but you're looking at $1,200. And those amps, it's a dream. It's only a dream. Just a memory without any place to live. Is that Neil Young? It's Neil Young. Oh, Neil. Yeah, it's a dream. But you're looking at $1,200, $1,500, and those tubes are a big part of that. And it's just not in the cards right now for the C-Child to pop on an L7 just because. I've got little kids. They need shoes. Baby needs shoes and schooling, education. So it's just sitting there. It's there. It's a thing, but it's my 100-watt rig. Anyway, I've got the VFO. I've got the watt meter. And I've got the radio itself. I love it. I listen to it. I turn it on Sundays. It still sounds great, man. It still sounds great. If you hear people say, oh, those old 35-year-old, 40-year-old rigs, even solid state, they don't sound like the new ones. Maybe not. There's a difference between analog and digital audio. We don't need to get into that right now. But the TR7 sounds great, man. I don't feel like I'm losing anything. Well, okay, it's not, but it is great nonetheless. So I listen to it. Sundays, there's a Drake Net. I think that comes on 3 o'clock Central Time. Anyway. Now, I don't want to blame my youngest child. She's 3, and she has a thing for flipping these switches and pushing buttons. But I do blame myself for not figuring this out sooner. I would key up the mic. Level would just bloop right into the toilet. Bloop. Nothing out. Nothing. The watt meter didn't move. And it was so like, I thought first, it's power. Power to the watt meter. I'm not seeing levels going in. Maybe this old power supply, the wall wart for this sort of thing, which has its own different kind of plug, by the way, that I can't easily find. So I was kind of sketching about that a little bit. Next thing you know, I go to the, I'm like, maybe it's not that at all. Maybe it's just this microphone. Turns out it's me. It's a switch on the VFO. And if you've got something pushed in on that VFO, nothing happens for you. Nothing happens. It is like, nope. It's like expecting love after a hard night of beer drinking and taco eating. It is not happening. Not happening. You're sleeping alone and probably on that couch. Maybe the dog will chill with you. But even he's like, I don't know, man. I'll be on the floor back over here. I don't know about cuddling tonight. If you got this button pushed in, I'm trying to remember what that button is. I think it's a store button. I don't know if it's a store button. But there's a button on that VFO, and if that's engaged, you're not getting out. And finally, over this past week, I figured it out. There's my signal. There's the watt meter. There's the 100, maybe 5 watts going out. It'll give me a little more than 100 watts. But put 105 watts out, started making some contacts, and I was just so happy, so pleased. Because I love that old girl. I was starting to think, maybe I better let it go. Maybe I better just let it go. No, I got a handful of jelly beans. I sat down next to it and figured it out. But that VFO is the wild card. And maybe it's like that on Kenwood's and something else. Because the VFO can take you, switch it. It'll put the radio into a different mode, respectfully. And you start dealing with, receive, transmit, receive, and transmit. You start switching some things around and pushing the buttons on that VFO. Oh, Mr. Drake, he said do that. They're like this. They push that button and they ain't getting out. Let me take a break here. We've been speaking long enough about the old Drake, but she's on the radio, the 100-watt rig. Maybe one day I'll put an amplifier in line with the old girl, but money's too tight to mention. Hey, is that Simply Red? What's going on? I need to get back to playing music on the radio or just listening to some more music. We'll come back and get into some more stuff. I've got an announcement that you may like it, you may dig it, because I'm asked about it frequently, and we'll see what happens. We'll come back and talk about that next.
The Kilo station again? Kilo Zero Sierra Tango Hotel. You're 5'9". Right.
The SDR you have asked for is here. ICOM's new 7610 is a high-performance RMDR with the ability to pick out the faintest of signals, even in the presence of stronger adjacent signals. The new ICOM IC7610 is a direct sampling, software-defined radio that's SDR that will change the world's definition of an SDR transceiver. It has an RF direct sampling system, 110 dB RMDR, an independent dual receiver, and dual digi-select. And whether you're looking to enter into the world of D-Star or need a backup D-Star portable for your Go kit, the ID31A Plus is the perfect radio. It's easy to operate. The ID31A Plus is available in silver, red, or gold. It has worldwide digital communication. You can share pictures and text messages. It is IPX7 waterproof, compact, lightweight, and tough. Visit ICOMAmerica.com/amateur for more information on all ICOM radios.
Sweeping the spectrum. This is 100 watts and a wire.
There are a few things I want to mention real quick here in the news. One is the ex-senator and Vietnam prisoner of war who blinked the word torture in Morse code has died. He took part of a 1966 interview that was intended to be part of a propaganda film. And his captors were speaking to him, and he blinked with his eyes the word torture in Morse code. Very cleanly, very clear. And the U.S. military knew that during his 7.5 years, the conditions that he had endured. So it's good for me just to mention that that he passed away. Nothing political there. He was 89 years old. He went into a career in politics. And you can read all about that. CBS News had a story about it if you're curious. Also, a lot of things going on with Facebook, and some people have dropped the line saying, "See, child, what are we going to do now that Mark Zuckerberg has stepped in it somewhat," or at least Facebook has stepped in it and got themselves in a little bit of trouble here. People are jumping ship from Facebook. They're deleting their accounts because the information that you put into them, and this is kind of chicken and egg here a little bit, yes, you should safeguard our information more, Mark Zuckerberg. But we also should know that information that we put out over the internet could be shared. That could happen, and it did happen, apparently, allegedly, with Facebook. Will that affect the 100 Watts and a Wire Facebook group at all? We have over 9,000 members. And still just a percentage of our overall listening audience, and many people who are not on Facebook and listen to this show. This could be the reason why. It could also be their work situation, meaning, maybe they work for, a place with sensitive information. Maybe they just do not want you to know. Those people I encourage just to go to 100wattsandawire.com. That's the place where you can go. Facebook is a wonderful support mechanism for this show. It was intended to be support for people to get questions and answers. One day, if Zucky pulls the plug, sells it off, it changes dramatically, where would the 100 Watts and a Wire Facebook group go? It's a first world problem. It is 9,000 people gathered there, but not all of our audience, all of the people listening to this show do not do social media. So I don't harp on it. I don't harp on that fact in the show or on the nets because, there is a large percentage of people who listen who don't do it. I get it. Some will do Twitter, some will not. Some do Facebook, some will not. So the website becomes an important kind of headquarters for information. At this time, I don't have any plans to delete an account. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to delete mine. I don't post on my, much to the chagrin of my mama, who wants to see pictures of her babies, the grandbabies. I don't post there, and that's for different reasons, too. I mean, clearly we understand old Zucky could, take our information, share it with others. That's why we see the ads pop up. You even think about a new jacket. That's a sharp jacket. Like, come on, man. The algorithm. So I'm careful what I even chat about in private messages on Facebook. Next thing you know, bloop. So we kind of understand that, more is going on there. My plan is not to abandon the 100 Watts and Wire Facebook page. I still believe it has a lot of good that's happening there. And, we'll see where it goes. I think he's going to testify, and that'll be that. And we'll find out a little bit more. But at this point, if you're jumping off of that Facebook page, you you have to understand that it is in support of. If it went away completely, 100wattsandawire.com is really the centralized portion of this show, and our community is still there, regardless. That's why I feel for some of these people who have their shows kind of linked to these bigger networks. And it's not like providers. It's like networks. They're either broadcasting networks, but they're tied into it. You know, if something shakes down from their headquarters, what are they going to do? Our show is not tied into that specifically, and we would rise like the phoenix from the ashes and turn up in a parking lot. This community would not be stifled. We're not going away. Have you heard the story of the Chinese space station? Was it Tiangong 1? The latest I've read about is it has broken the atmosphere and is set to hit the Central Pacific Ocean, but in little bits. This was a satellite that was up in the sky for I don't even know how long. I just found out that it was headed back to Earth, and I was like, huh? Say what now? What? So there's stories about this as well, but it looks like unless you're out there drifting in the Central Pacific Ocean in your boat, which is still a possibility, this thing is expected to fall to Earth. They predict it on April 1st, which is just weird. Anytime they predict a re-entry from a satellite into the Earth, maybe April Fool's Day is not the day to say, it's no joke. However, you got to get your information from the right places, though, because there are some, there's some crazy people out there posting pictures about it. But the last I read from a reputable source is that it had crossed through and re-entered. And most of it was anticipated to burn up upon re-entry. Like, but some of it is due to fall Central Pacific into the ocean. But I spent a little bit of time thinking about that. Like, who lets the satellites go up when you can't control the way they come back down? But apparently the technology and the science is there to get this thing to land safely into the ocean. Hopefully no ships underneath of it. So I felt that was an interesting story to at least keep an eye on. And let's see, I want to take another little quick break here before I come back and tell you. So I'm going to tell you something now before we do that, and then I'll wrap things up because busy day, busy new week here as we head into April. Now, a lot of people write to me and they say, look, when can I get my T-shirts? It's cold, so like a sweatshirt, maybe something for Dayton. Are you going to have T-shirts and mugs in Dayton? What are you going to do? What are you going to do? And I'm like, man, and it's too many words to explain on Facebook, again, which is just a percentage of our listening audience. It's not the complete audience by far, and many of those people on Facebook and Twitter, I imagine, don't even know about the show. They don't even know what came first. It's chicken, egg. It's always the show. It's always the show that came first. That's kind of how it worked, okay? And the content that is created there, the conversations, all feed back into the show. However, posting a message there like this isn't completely getting out to everyone, so I was saving it for this opportunity. And a little leaked out to the YouTube channel over the weekend when I did the April 1st It's Snowing My Jelly Bean Confession thing on YouTube. If you like that, video extras are there. Check it out, subscribe, whatever. Anyway, people write and they say, when can I get my T-shirt? I want a coffee mug. I want a sweatshirt. And I always have to pump the brakes and say, in a nutshell, not to bore you, that I wanted to always use a local, small type family shop. It felt like a cool thing to do. And, for the last few years, it has been. Sadly, the prices have gone up. 100 watts and a wire is stretching out. There are different entities and arms and different things that we're working on that it's harder for me to work independently with a smaller place like that. But frankly, complete disclosure, the local company that I've been using has really raised the prices. It takes a longer time for me to get them out to you. It takes a week to get the orders, a week to have them produced, a week to send them out. Next thing you know, one day you get it, and then I have to do the legwork on the front and the back side of it. And again, we're growing. There's a lot of things happening, and my attention needs to be focused on this show and do other things. So pulling off to do everything by myself after a few years, I just stopped doing it for now. I had to put it down. There's other things I have to pick up and move it, put it down, pick it up, move it, stop, move it, or we have a setback. Last time we did the t-shirt stuff, I took a loss. Because the prices were higher. I didn't want to pass that on to you. By the time I got all the shipping and everything done and out, I wasn't even breaking even. So it was easy for me to put that one down for a while. And I looked at the online shops, and, there are different companies you could look at. But you have to be really careful. This is a brand. It's a small business, that being 100 watts and a wire. And I don't want the quality to suffer. So using these online shops, like you could, if you wanted to, this isn't permission to do this. If you wanted to, people could take your logo, the thing you've worked hard to build up, and slap it on anything on the internet. You can do that. I didn't want to do that because I couldn't control the quality that you were getting. Stained up t-shirt comes to you, or paper thin, that kind of deal. So I was interested but hesitant. And then Patrick, KC1AJT, who I've known for a long time, he's one of my oldest ham friends. Big brain up there in near Boston. He said, I'd be interested in helping you out in this. Not as the business owner, but let me do some legwork. Look for a reputable company that gets you a good deal on the backside of things. And he did. He looked into it, and he found a service. He helped build the page. He put it together, and that's where 100 watts and a wire is right now. I'm getting supported from the merchandise, through the 100 watt IDs, through our net. I get help. We're growing, and I just can't do it all. And I think that's why you're seeing some of these cats who have shows, they have to dip out. That's another topic altogether. I can hit on that at some point. But you're seeing some people who are doing amateur radio podcast dipping out. And maybe this is part of it, that you just get too much going on, and your focus has to always be on your family. If you want to, so when they dip out, man, it doesn't shock or surprise me. It's not a cheap thing to do. Be that as it may, we have a new shop. If you go to 100wattsandawire.com, you'll find the shop there. Click on it. Poke around. There's many more options now that we can put our logo on mouse pads, and people who like to hike, you can put it in those little travel containers. And we've got mugs, and we've got t-shirts in different styles. We've got men's, we've got ladies, and tall. Much more than I could offer you doing it myself and doing it with the local. We looked at the company looks good. We ordered some of the products, quality is good, and we'll run with it for a little while. But right now you can know that prepare yourself for Dayton, because I'll be there. I'd love to see at least one t-shirt with our logo, and maybe we'll do a meetup. Visit the website, go to the shop, and go ahead and make a purchase. There's 15% off for 2 weeks on any merchandise that you find there that you like. I like the mugs, and I like the t-shirt. I love the logo. I worked hard on that with a professional. Many different variations of that look came back, and it's not. And what I wanted was a look from the old 40s and 50s QSL cards. I wanted that vintage look. And I believe we achieved that. So go ahead and put that logo on your chest. Wear it proudly, friends. it should be easier. This company will do the printing. They will do the shipping. They handle all that, and they have removed that from me. So now I can give it back to you and offer you, instead of taking it completely away and a potential revenue stream. It isn't much, but a little bit more than nothing is still a little bit more. Plus, you guys get what you want. So all the folks that have asked me, now you can go and make that purchase. I'm going to take a quick break. We'll come back and we'll talk about South Africa here next.
When in doubt, hang 'em high. This is 100 watts and a wire.
Nominations are now open for the Amateur Radio Newsline Bill Pasternak WA6ITF Young Ham of the Year Award. I'm Don Wilbanks, AE5DW. Since 1986, we've had the honor of celebrating the accomplishments of youth in ham radio, and we want to know about your exceptional young ham. You'll find the rules and a nominating form by clicking the YHOTY tab on arnewsline.org. Fill it out, send it in, and we'll see you and an amazing young ham at the Huntsville, Alabama Ham Fest in August. Thanks, and 73 from Amateur Radio Newsline.
It's Christian. Kilo Zero, sweeter than honey. Girl.
I want to pass on a little piece of information that I received over the weekend from Johannesburg, South Africa. Dear Christian, my name is Coos. Love that, man. I was born to these. Oh, Lord, I don't even want to get into it. You're not my therapist. Mind your business. My name is Coos Fick. ZR6KF. And I'm the youth coordinator for the South African Radio League. That's SARL. As you might have heard, the SARL has been chosen to host the annual Youngsters on the Air summer event. This will be the very first time that YOTA is held outside of Europe. Unfortunately, with only plus or minus 1,400 registered SARL members and limited funding, the IARU Region 1, we have run into huge problems regarding funding the event. In our efforts to make up the shortage, we have made a PayPal account that is linked to our website. The website is www.zs9yota.co.za. Again, zs9yota.co.za. And the funds are slowly rolling in. If at all possible, would you be able to assist us in spreading the word of our PayPal account? Well, there you go, Coos. I believe the Youngsters on the Air summer event is very important. So to my listeners, if you can, if this moves you at all, this is a first, okay? Youngsters on the Air is being held outside of Europe, and it is going to be in South Africa this year. Look up Coos like I did, and I have a ham friend in South Africa, and I inquired, frankly. I inquired to make sure everything was on the up and up, and it is. It's a good young man here, this Coos Fick. Zulu Romeo 6 Kilo Foxtrot, the youth coordinator. Think about it. At least visit the website, zs9yota.co.za. Read about it. If you want to give a little bit, by all means. It's on the up and up. I checked it out. Okay? People, do this from time to time, and we're a society based on fraud. Not all of it. That didn't come out as, I'm not saying generally, but we're really tuned to the fact that people are coming to get us through email messages. I've been a king, a prince, the heir to the throne, and the beneficiary of zillions of dollars in pretend land. This is not pretend. This is a real ham. a bright young mind who is the youth coordinator for the South African Radio League, the SARL. If you don't remember anything beyond that, look up the South African Radio League. Poke around. They are undertaking this event where they are, and they're a little short. They need a sponsor. They need some help. So my sponsors, if you're listening, my audience, if you're listening and engaged and interested in this could be a good opportunity. I'm going to make that my final, friends. As the snow trickles down, hopefully the midday sun will burn it away, and our flowers will go, oh, what was that about? I swear I heard a bird this morning. I go out there and I walk a lot, as you know. Birds chirping this morning like, what the fuck? What the fuck? I just kept hearing, what the fuck? And I had no answer. No answer for them at all. Take care of yourself. Take care of your families. And by all means, if you can, please try and stay above the noise.
To join the 100 Watts in a Wire community, visit 100wattsinawire.com.